Hi, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is awake now after your first or second coffee. So, my name is Zen. I'm an Internet Resource Analyst from APNIC Services team. Now I mainly look after members from the Southeast Asia region. So, first of all, I'd like to thank JBIX Wing for inviting me to speak at this event, and it's a privilege to be the first speaker over here. Thanks. So, in today's presentation, I'd like to talk about what is APNIC and how you can apply for resources from APNIC, and in the second part, what you can do after you have received the resources from APNIC. So, what is APNIC? So, APNIC stands for Asia Pacific Network Information Center, and that is a picture of. There's a picture of our office there. We are located in Brisbane, and we have around 80 employees in APNIC. So the vision and mission statement that we have is to have a global, open, stable, and secure internet that serves the entire Asia Pacific community. And where is APNIC region? So in the world, if you know, we have 5 RR in the world. One that serves the North America area. We have one that serves the South America Atlantic, and one serves Africa, APNIC, and RIPE serves the European region, and we are APNIC, we serve the entire Asia Pacific region. So in APNIC, we serve across 56 economies, and we have around 7,000 plus members as we speak now. So you can, from the list, you can see all the economies that we serve. Map-wise, from the left, if you can imagine, from Afghanistan all the way across to the right, Australia, New Zealand, and the Pacific Islands. So, for those who are not aware, where do IP address actually comes from? So, IP address actually comes from engineering body called IETF. They set the standards, for example, IPv4 and IPv6. And after that, it is distributed to INR, and INR then distribute to the rest of the IRR, the 5 IRRs in the world. And as APNIC, we then delegate the IP address to LIR, which is a local internet registry, such as in Malaysia, we have TM. And from there, the service provider will then delegate the IP address to the end users, like you or me. So that's how, in a nutshell, where IP address actually comes from. Many people, think that IP address comes from the sky. Where do they come from? So, as you can see from the graph, APNIC membership has been growing steadily over the years. As we speak now, we have around 7,500 members, and the graph there actually shows the combined members of APNIC direct members and NRR members. So NRR is certain countries that have NRR set up. This was back in the day. Now we do not have that model anymore. But in this region, we have 8 NRR, such as IDNIC, JPNIC, and so on. If you are interested, you can read further from our website. So a combine of projected 17,000 members by the end of this year. So looking at the IPv4 delegation, so if you look at the graph, it reached the peak around 2015 and 16. That is where I can still remember that's when we are delegating a /21, where you can get a /22 from the 103/8 block and another /22 from the recycle pool. And as the policy changes, now members can only get a /23. So it has actually dropped down very quickly from a 21. And then because the recycle pool got run out, members need to be placed on the waiting list. And now we are only delegating a /23 to each new organizations or new members. So who are our members? So historically, IP address are delegated by ISP. So if you look at the ISP, where is the ISP, which has the highest number, and as the industry changes, IP address needs has been moved on to hosting providers. So the next interesting thing to note is like hosting and data center are also quite high. So the numbers have picked up there, and slowly has moved to banks, universities, where they need their own IP address to run their own network. And the question is, how much IPv4 address is left in the world? As we speak now, ARINT in the North American region, because of their policy, they did not reserve any IPv4 address. They're just giving out every last bit that they have. So they do not have any more IPv4 address left in the pool. So in APNIC region, we still have 0.2, near to, I think just a little bit less than 0.2 left. And APNIC still have more than between 0.2 and 0.25. And RIPEM CC has 0.1 left. But yes, projected, we still can, this IPv4 address can still last us a few years. Maybe in the next 5 years, IPv4 address will run out. So, how to submit your application to APNIC? So in the application process, there are 4 important stages you need to go through. First, you submit your application online through the online portal. And once you have submitted your application, we have to do our due diligence checks and to evaluate your needs, because according to the resource policy, you need to demonstrate your needs in order to apply and receive the IP address from APNIC. And once we have completed the evaluation process, we will then send you the invoice and you can then make payment. And once payment is received, you can then delegate the IP address to your account and you can actually start using your IP address. So the entire process actually takes around 10 working days or around 2 weeks. It depends on how quickly you communicate with us. We usually communicate to you using an email after you have submitted your application. So many of you is still wondering, why do you need to apply for IP address for your own network? So here are some benefits that I would like to highlight. So imagine if you have a portable IP address from APNIC, you can choose your peering or upstream providers as your IP address is portable, meaning that if you wish to change your service provider in the future, you carry the same set of IP address and connect to the service provider of your choice. So that actually reduce the overhead of renumbering your network. So imagine if you're getting IP address from your service provider, and every time if you wish to change to a new service provider, you're actually returning the IP address to the service provider and getting a new set of IP address from your new service provider, and you need to go into your data center to renumber all your routers, servers, machines. So that is a tedious job. But If you're using the same set of IP address, you do not need to do any of that. You just number your devices at the beginning and just keep the settings. Just move to a different service provider. And also, you can manage your IP address range and manage your account details from my APNIC portal once you have become APNIC members. And most importantly, if you're APNIC member, you get up to 4 free APNIC conference registration, but this is only limited to APNIC standalone meeting, not for the APRICOT, because they are run by different entities called APRICOT, if you're not aware. So what's next? After you have got your IP address. So I'd like to talk about what you can do once you have received the IP address from APNIC. So APNIC, once you have received the IP address from APNIC, we will register your IP address on the WHOIS database. We have a WHOIS database that records the custodianship of the resources. So APNIC WHOIS database have 2 functions over here. One is to act as a public network management database, where it records the WHOIS information about your IP address. So it records your organization details, who is the custodian, and it records the contact details such as the role object in WHOIS database. And the second function is we also act as a routing registry. So there are many routing registries out there, such as the RADB and so on, but we are also one of the routing registries in the world. So in the routing registries, we record route objects that actually shows which AS number is announcing which IP prefix. So APNIC, we have a few contracts with a few routing registries out there. So it's NRTM, which is near real-time mirroring system, where if you register a route object in APNIC WHOIS database, you'll be automatically mirrored to a few routing registries out there, such as RADB, JPIRR, NTT, CNIC, APNIC, and IDNIC. So once you have registered the route object, you will be mirrored to the RADB, and actually RADB being the more popular one, where I know members need to pay some fees to have their route object registered on RADB. But if you're an APNIC member, you can actually register your route object in APNIC WHOIS database, and that gets mirrored to RADB, where you do not have to pay any fee to APNIC to register a route object. So here are some routing registries objects on WHOIS database. The more popular one being route/6 object, odd-num object, ASset, and so on, if you're familiar with that. So for example, the route and route/6 objects. So route object actually, as I mentioned before, it records which IP prefix is announced by which AS number, and the route/6 object is pretty much for the IPv6 prefixes. Just the naming, route and route/6 object. So if you register a route object in RADB, it will look something like that. But the source over here is APNIC. But if you register a route object in RADB, I think the source will have RADB at the bottom. And odd-num object contains, it actually registers your AS number details. So in the odd-num object, It has the first line, it has your AS number. And if you configure your router to announce and read from APNIC whois database, then you might want to include some import and export information, such as, you're announcing this to which AS number and you're accepting traffic from which AS number. So you can also use the onNum object to include this information if you're configuring your router to read from the whois database. And for AS object is for a group of AS numbers that have the same routing policy. So usually in the AS format, you will list down in the member section all the AS numbers that have the same routing policy between the network. So after you have registered your route object, that actually doesn't secure your routing. And then as an IR, we have an initiative called the RPKI, which is the Resource Public Key Infrastructure. This is initiated by the IR, and the idea is to secure the routing table. And in the RPKI framework, we have an object that you can actually register, which is called the ROA object, Route Origin Authorization. And so what is contained in the ROA, if you're not familiar? In the ROA, similar to route object, it contains your AS number that you have authorized to announce your prefix. It contains the IP prefix, and it contains what we call a max length, the most specific prefix that you allow the AS number to announce. So for example, if you want to register ROA for /22, you can specify the max length as a /24, meaning that you allow that AS number to announce your prefix up to a /24 level. So you have 1/22, 2/23, and 4/24, 7 prefixes under that ROA. And for the stats, now APNIC members have, around 14.4% have actually activated their resource certification in my APNIC, and we have around 9% of members with ROA. And IPv6, you can see there's a great growth over there, 4.95. But the numbers at this stage are still quite low. So we are still encouraging members, if you can, to register your ROA. And actually, by registering ROA is not enough, but we also encourage you to run the ROA validator. I can explain that later. So here are the ROA adoption in the Southeast Asia region, being Philippines has the most ROA adoption rate with 84.1%. Well done, Philippines. But please note that this is not a competition. We would like to keep encouraging members to register their ROA. So what is the whole idea of registering a ROA, right? After you have registered a ROA, you need to run a ROA validator. And what this does is it checks against the announcement on the routing table and the ROA. So if you have registered a ROA that allows you to announce /22, and in the ROA, you have specified a /24, many service providers are now dropping invalid routes. So if they have a ROA validator, they will check against the announcement. And if your announcement is not matching the ROA, they will actually drop the announcement. So that makes your announcement more secure, and it avoids hijacking of the announcement. So where is Malaysia? Malaysia is doing quite well, not too bad. Before APNIC 48 in Chiang Mai, which is our conference, from my memory, I remember we only get 16%, and after that we have run a few ROA and RPK sessions inside APNIC 48, and the numbers have actually bumped up to 29%. So thanks to all the members who are sitting over here and who has actually registered their ROA. So if you want to know how to register a ROA, you can come and see me at the booth outside. I have some free T-shirts to give away if you have actually registered a ROA. Just to as a promotion, we are giving out free T-shirts for registering your ROA. And if you need to look at the stats, this stats is actually managed by Ripen CC, and you can go through the link at the bottom over here. I'm sure the slides are uploaded in somewhere, so if you need the link, you can come and see me. I can give you the link later if you're interested. So here is a screenshot of how the interface look like when you log into My APNIC and you wish to register a ROA. So in the interface, you can see the top column there specify your prefix and which AS number is allowed to announce a prefix. And in the most specific announcement, which is the max length, you can specify a /24. Or if you do not wish to, split that, you can actually put as a /22. Meaning that if any announcement that is smaller than between this /22 is announced by this AS number, and if they are running a validator, that routes will get dropped because you actually do not authorize that AS number to announce anything that is smaller than the 22 in this case. So in the RPKI stats globally, we have around 10% valid routes, but we have 0.79, around 0.8% invalid routes. And from our observation, we are seeing more and more invalid routes gradually increasing. So what does this mean? This means that many members are registering their ROA, but they are registering the incorrect ROA, which is not matching their announcement. So I'd like to encourage members to, if you're registering a ROA, you should also look at what you're announcing, not just blindly registering ROA. And this will bump up the invalid routes on the routing table. So, so what we could do in the future is maybe we can provide tools in My APNIC to make sure your ROA is up to date. Currently, we do not have these features yet. We are still finding ways to improve the portal to better manage the routes. So that concludes my presentation today. And before I end my presentation here, I'd like to invite everyone to attend our next conference, which is in conjunction with APRICOT. That will be in Melbourne, home turf to Australia. So that event will be run from 12th to 21st of February 2020. I'm sure you can start registering the event from our website now, so please watch this space. And if you have any questions or queries on how to sign up with APNIC in terms of membership and apply for addresses, I'd like to refer you to JBIX. They are our supporting supporting member, as they are very familiar with the application process. So you can go and talk to them. They will help you on how to sign up a membership with APNIC and get your own resources. So with that, I'd like to conclude my presentation today. Thank you very much.